Hello friends. Hope everybody can hear me okay. I know that we are going live a little bit late. I said on the Facebook group that we would jump in at about 5:30, and all of a sudden I looked down and it was 5:30. And I am actually playing at an event for Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day for those of you who celebrate, by the way. And let's just go ahead and jump on real quick on Instagram as well. But I always like to keep things moving for those of you who came in on time or you're watching on replay. My name is Alan C. Paul. If you're new to God and Gigs, and this is one of our creative checkups, a quick creative checkup, which is where we kind of address a topic, something that kind of helps all of us to navigate as faith focused creatives, musicians, artists, and entrepreneurs. Hopefully, we're going live here to our Facebook and our YouTube as well. And I'm also going to jump in on Instagram real quick just to make sure they can join us as well. But I wanted to jump in right away because this is really like making a lot of, like, more than normal. This has been a big issue this year. This whole situation with the halftime show, Rihanna, who sang the national anthem. Now I know every year it feels like we go through this with who sang the anthem, who's doing the halftime show, whether they liked it or not. And of course, what's really funny is that we don't even talk about the actual game more than we talk about the halftime show. At least us musicians and creatives, those of us who like just love, we want to know who's performing, who's in the band, and so on. And so we're more concerned about, who is in the show, whether or not they're playing live, how they are actually being a part of the actor, who's singing the national anthem, right? Who did? I think Babyface did. The America the Beautiful. And then we had Chris Stapleton do the national anthem, and I know Shirley Ralph did Lift Up Your Voice and Sing, which is known as the Negro national anthem. So there was so much. As I adjust everything here, trying to get everybody's camera straight. There was so much going on, and so much that's been discussed when it comes down to who's sung what, whether or not things were done well, Rihanna and her baby announcement. And what I really noticed, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this quickly in a creative checkup mentality is, why is it that even our fellow musicians and creatives get riled up about who is talking about which artists, how they did, whether or not they did it right, whether or not they were good? Because I mean, us as artists, we know that there's a love-hate relationship every time you get on stage. There are people that are going to like you, and there are people that are not going to like you. We value feedback, but nobody likes to be criticized. And it's just interesting to me that I see musicians and creatives. Now, again, we're not judging on the merits of, we're not talking about, sin, or we're not talking about whether things were raunchy or none of that. Like, I'm not even dealing with any kind of content issues. I'm just talking about specifically the actual performance and how other creatives and musicians talk about other creatives and musicians, how other artists talk about other artists, and whether, especially in a Super Bowl context, this is not even her show. Hey, Tiffany, good to see you. Hey, Michelle, good to see you on Facebook. I'm sorry, on Instagram. It is just interesting. Oh, and we're on LinkedIn too. That's right. I totally forgot we're on LinkedIn. We are everywhere. This is cool. So what I'm basically talking about, ladies, is why do creatives get so riled up about other people's performances, and how do we contribute to that air of criticism? And I liked it, and I didn't like it, or she should have performed more, or this person should have done it. This is a free performance, number one, to everybody watching. Nobody paid a ticket for it. It is absolutely not even necessarily used to be. It didn't even mean to be. Like, it's amazing that this is the biggest conversation. I mean, sports fans are talking about the game, but overall, most of the country is talking about the halftime show and the commercials. So it's amazing how the Super Bowl has now commercialized even the performance as being more important than the actual game. I mean, it's a masterful level of commercialization, of marketing. Rihanna clearly knew what she was doing with her marketing and putting herself in a position where she would be the focus of conversation, and the whole thing with the pregnancy. Like, that's just a marketing masterpiece. Okay, so let's just talk about the marketing side. That was well done. If you just wanted to get the news cycle going, that's what she did. But what I'm stunned about is how much creators have been almost been up in arms with each other about whether they liked it or hated it, and whether or not we would want to be in that same position should we ever achieve that level of fame or fortune or prestige. And is that healthy? I'm not saying that creatives and musicians, I'm not saying we shouldn't have an opinion, but I think we have to be careful about how we, do unto others as you have to do unto you, right? The golden rule. So if we're going to go out and say, oh, well, she should have had a more, she shouldn't have as many dancers, or she should have done this, or she should have done that. And I'm just wondering, those of us who are in the creative space, would we be okay with people like coming out and basically like taking apart our performances on social media? And would we be okay with people? I mean, yeah, again, like criticism is criticism. You live in the public eye, you're going to get criticized. I'm just curious. Thank you so much, Michelle. Appreciate that. She is a master of marketing. So my question is, again, whether or not people in the creative space should be more careful about how we critique, and whether we join into this kind of cultural zeitgeist of, all right, let's all talk about it. What did I like? What did I not like? Because as artists, we are all sensitive, as Erica Badu likes to say. All right, I'm not going to use the word, but we're sensitive, and we know what it's like to be out in the public eye. We know what it's like to be performing, and we know what it's like. So I would love your thoughts, Tiffany. I would love your thoughts, Simony. I see you over here. Good to see you. All right. Good to see you, Tiffany, over there. Awesome, Simony, our amazing, amazing 360 ambassador. Good to see Tiffany over there. Yeah, Michelle, people are harsh. And again, I'm not trying to talk about the culture. I'm only coming in to my community. I'm coming into my community. I only got about 30 minutes before I got to go to a Valentine's Day performance, jump in and jump out. So I'm just jumping in to kind of stir the conversation within our community. Should we be more concerned and careful about joining in when there is a major artist, and how do we contribute to that culture where people are like either yes or no, she's good, she's bad, this performance was good or bad? Or should we step back and say, hey, if it was my performance, maybe you're like one of those people that say, no, maybe I'm a creative, I should be able to take it. If I perform on that level, I should be comfortable with people bouncing off ideas, whether they loved it or hated it. So maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I'm thinking that creatives should be a little less out there in the public eye and telling people, because maybe, and there's another side to this that's going to come up in a second. Michelle says over on Instagram, I agree with you. We need to be mindful of how we give input, and remember what we say needs to honor God and respect the artist. Oh, woo, Michelle, this is why you are a coach. This is why they need to check you out at Arts and Entertainment Ministries, because wow, I couldn't say it any better. We need to be mindful of how we give input, and remember what we say needs to honor God and respect the artist. Like I want to copy that over to Facebook as well. Simony over here on Facebook, and YouTube, she says we should be more mindful of how we express criticism. Sometimes people are just plain mean because they are hidden behind a computer screen. Yes, that is what's so concerning for me, which is artists specifically. Again, forget all the people who are armchair quarterbacks who are typing, whatever they want and sharing whatever they want and don't care because they've never been performers. But performers, and here's the other thing I was going to say to y'all. Us musicians, creatives who are aspiring to perform in certain areas, you really should be careful about how you talk about other artists, because they look at your social media before they hire. And if there's a musical director, if there's a dance director, if there's a writing a director, if there's a screenplay writer, if there's someone in that circle that you suddenly rise to the top, and all of a sudden they're going to say, okay, we might hire this person. She's got great writing, or she's got great talent, or he's got great ability. Let's check out, make sure there's nothing crazy in their social media. And the first thing they see is you blasting the specific artist that they are connected with or friends with, right? Am I tracking here? People who are in these circles protect each other and watch out for each other. And again, I'm not saying to be, it really just goes back to what your mama said, what grandma said. If you can't say anything nice, right? And again, it's not just to be simply worried about protecting your own reputation. But I love what Michelle said, and I love also how somebody said it, that you know we have to be mindful. That's the great word, mindful. Um, I saw somebody say on another one on a Facebook post that being you don't have to be afraid, but being afraid is not the same as being careful, right? Shout out to Brent over there. I don't know if Brent was watching, but yeah, there's a difference between being fearful and being careful. I don't want our community, I don't want you to go through being fearful of speaking out, fearful of expressing your opinion, fearful of saying, yeah, I would have preferred this musical choice. I would have preferred this musical direction. I would have preferred this dance direction. I didn't care for the way the lighting was. I would have done this. I like this better. Start, kind of start a conversation like, hey, what did you like? What did you not like? And be respectful, but say, yeah, I would have made a different creative choice. Da, 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 like that is understandable. Like, I don't want people to be fearful, so you never can talk about what you really believe. That's kind of fake. But mindful and careful means I watch my tongue. I watch my words. I watch what I say so that I never enter into that place of where it's right, judge not that you not be judged, right? So if you're watching this right now, I got another 15, 20 minutes. Feel free to share with somebody and ask them the question. Just kind of get them in this conversation. Just say, hey, should we be more concerned about the artist itself, she, herself, himself, how they are? Again, and I think there's levels to this. Local artists, obviously, got to be careful because our local artists, they know you and you know them, and how do you speak up about them? National artists, again, it's like Simone said, small world, right? Michelle says, yes, we are all vetted now on social media. So true. But as Christians, we have a higher call to obey God in our words. I'm all for constructive criticism, but trash talking is unloving. Again, I need to repost that. I know you're watching on Instagram. I need everybody to go to Instagram and just see, or I'll screenshot it, because Michelle is dropping the mic on every single comment. And that's why she's on a podcast, by the way. Oh, did I mention I have a podcast? If you guys don't know I have a podcast, oh, look. Let me just remind you, we have a podcast. So, because Michelle, I think gosh, I always forget the number. It was like at least 2 years ago. But yes, Michelle Pelsu, check her out. She is one of our guests on the podcast, and she is dropping bombs right here and just helping me to explain what I'm trying to explain here even better than I can. So yes, it is so imperative that we avoid trash talking. Okay, I can go pull it right out of Ephesians, to avoid all unwholesome talk. All unwholesome talk was not befitting, and unwholesome does not mean just cussing, right? Not just cursing. I think a lot of us think that, because we have this concept of creative license and creative freedom, that we express ourselves um, in sometimes very undisciplined ways. And there's some people I would love to have on this conversation. I have to actually, like, next time I'll take more time, but I wanted to talk about this while it was fresh. Because I was just seeing, again, it's 2 days since the Super Bowl. And again, let's just talk about the fact that, again, the marketing of this, like the fact that 2 days later, you know, that this 17-minute performance has everybody talking. And again, I'm also talking about Chris Stapleton and the national anthem. Like, this is a sporting event. This is not a musical event. This is a sporting event that has created a musical and cultural. I mean, there's so many things happening in the world right now. We got UFOs. People think aliens are coming. We have thousands and thousands. I don't want to do the whole comparison thing, why people don't pay attention. But We have so many amazing, crazy things happening in our world right now. We have a revival in Kentucky, and yet, what's the conversation? A 17-minute baby announcement with a artist that had not performed a concert in maybe 3 or 4 years, who who's a master marketer and a master of creating this aura about herself, and for all intents and purposes, no matter what you think of Rihanna, is absolutely a great artist in terms of creating this world around her. She is a great artist. You can't disguise the fact that a great artist can create a world that people want to be a part of. So as an artist, in terms of creating world, whether it's music or not, artist, her world around her and the branding that she's created is incredible. So that part, the fact that we're talking about this, again, I'm talking to creators and artists and musicians. Should we be aware of, hey, the whole point was to create conversation? That was the whole point. The whole point of this, if you're not going to, create a new album, you're not writing a new song for this. People were performing the national anthem, which was performed 100,000 times. So the only point of putting any of these things is to create this conversation. And then we jump in, and then we kind of point the finger at people like, oh, well, that was a horrible performance. That was a great performance. And it's the national anthem. Like, how many different ways can we sing the national anthem? I know Whitney killed it. Whitney has always been like my number one national anthem. Okay, yes. Marvin Gaye got in famously a lot of trouble for putting a beat to the national anthem. But it's just amazing how these specific things. Hey, Janae, good to see you. Cute Cabers over here. Good to see you, brother. Or I'm sorry, I say brother and sister. I always guess. I'm sorry. I never know. Thank you for joining me. I just really want to know, share in your comments, please. Do you think we get too overblown about our comments when it comes to the halftime show, Rihanna's halftime show? Should we be more careful about our words? Or maybe you feel that, again, maybe stars at that level should be comfortable receiving that criticism, and maybe they want it. Maybe all news is good news when it comes to that kind of stuff. Okay. So that's kind of why I wanted to open the door to that. And I wanted to give you one other comment that I saw that kind of made me think about this. And it was a couple of people I saw that kind of went back and forth, and they started kind of getting mean. And this is in my local area, by the way. They started fighting over, oh, if you call this person an idiot, then you clearly aren't a good musician, and and it was like, oh my gosh, okay, now this is not even affecting necessarily social media. This is personal. So how many times do we allow our personal opinions to divide us as creatives? Is there a time that you need to say, okay, yes, I feel like you don't know what you're talking about. But even inside your local space, not just social media, not just Rihanna, just in your local area, the musicians and creators around you. I've written a blog post about this, about how to critique people and how to handle critique. Let's say somebody comes to you, Simony, you know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, by the way, Facebook user here, share your names, because you can see on Facebook, you're probably in the group. I can't see your name. So I hate it when that Facebook user thing comes up. You have to give Restream permission. So share your name if you can, so I know who I'm talking to. But there's criticism, then there's fault finding. Yeah, that's true. Criticism and fault finding is different. Yeah, just being a critic is one thing, but then finding fault, I think, yeah, it's like another level. But yeah, let me know who's talking there. All right, so inside your circle, be careful, because the way you talk about other creatives, even when people ask me like, hey, should I hire this person? Hey, tell me the truth. Are they good to work with or not? Right. And so here I am. I'm on the spot now, because if I say, hey, yeah, they're usually late, and they're not really on time. I mean, they play kind of off. They don't practice. Now, I might be being very authentic, but at the same time, that might have just been my experience. Maybe they've cleaned up their act. Maybe they've got better. So how do I navigate being what I call loyal to those absent? This is actually, I can't even say that to Sam. Good to see you. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I see you over there on Instagram too. I see. Okay, so I'm assuming this is my friend Sam Mabry of Tax of Mabry Tax Advisory Group, and she's also on the podcast. You guys go check out. Oh, especially now, Sam. We have to do a talk. Okay, I'm totally talking business now. We have to do another thing on a on with tax time coming up. We might have to do another podcast just right off the bat, because I'm going to start sharing your other podcast, which was unbelievable. But we might have to do a part two since we already did a webinar. So y'all check out Tax Guru Sam on Instagram and on Facebook as well, because she is amazing. But yes, right. I'm glad you came in, because fault finding and being judgmental, especially, and you know this, my friend, inside the business circle, there is just it's it's a losing battle, right? What do you win? What is the benefit? Y'all forgive me. I know people out here water in the back, so I don't know if you can hear that. What is the benefit of getting really judgmental in the business circles, in your creative circles? What do you gain? What is the win? What is like, yes, I said it. They're going to respect me more because I came out there and I blasted this musician, or I came out there and, or even like I said in my example, privately speaking, when someone says, hey, I'll tell them what I will say is, if someone asks me for honest critique of a musician or a fellow artist, and I will say something like, look, in my experience, it didn't go well. You may have a different experience. All I can tell you is what happened with me, but I'm not going to tell you not to hire this person. I'm going to tell you that in my experience, I had to go another direction. They may have reformed. Talk to some other people, see what you think. Okay. I'm going to let them know that I am not the final word on that person's character, not the final word on that person's musicianship. I am not the final word, their availability or their, I'm not. I can only tell you up to the point that I saw them. They had a bad day. They had a bad gig. They had a specific day that did not go well. Hey, yeah, not going to lie, that happened. Is it a judgment call that you should never hire them? No, because people if people judge me on a couple of my first gigs, I would never work again, ever, 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 ever. Right, Simony? If people judged us based on our worst day, or the day that we showed up and didn't have it all together, and they were like, "Yep, sorry, you're not getting more opportunities." That would have ended most of our careers. And again, I'm not to be honest, and I'm not saying not to be very circumspect about who you hire and who you bring in, asking questions. I'm just saying there's levels, right? There's levels to all of this. Yes, Sam says over there on Instagram, yes, I do that because people evolve, right? And you have to be very careful about how you use your words inside these circles to make sure you never become the person, again, judge not that ye not be judged. Doesn't mean don't judge. It means when you judge, be ready. Jesus is like, do this if you want, judge if you want. For the same judgment that you give out will be the same judgment that you receive. So if you choose to judge, get ready for the judgment. Your call. Your call. And so Michelle says over here, I love what you were saying. It's the difference between discernment and final judgment. We don't get the final judgment. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Discernment is cool, right? And here, let's apply it to this Rihanna situation, this whole thing about the Super Bowl and everything. Discernment says, hey, did I love the performance? Maybe not. Who cares? It's free. Again, I'm not paying for this concert. It's amazing to me how many people are concerned and upset that 15 minutes of their life was not what they expected. And, and Rihanna is like a billionaire and a lot of amazingly smart decisions with fashion outside of music, just fashion and making herself a icon. And I don't think she's concerned about that 15 minutes. She used it for exactly what she wanted, which was a lot of eyeballs and a lot of visibility, and to kind of advance continuing her persona in this new motherhood journey that she's on. So, like, I can imagine how people say that 15, 17 minutes or whatever is worth you jeopardizing your social capital and your relationship capital because you don't get a unlimited amount of relationship capital. We only get a certain amount of relationship capital and you spend it on what you decide to spend it on. And if you spend it on things where people that are not in relationship with you, who don't care whether you spend your relationship capital on them, and then you spend it and then you go back and you have no relationship capital left, well, then now who are you going to run to? Why are you not working? Why are you not building the relationships? Why are you not getting into the fields and getting into the rooms that you want to get into? Maybe it's because you spent all your relationship capital on people that didn't have anything to invest back into you. And then when you spent that capital and you go back and like, man, like people just don't hire me. People think I'm this or that or whatever. And you're like, I'm basically saying to you, please, like, do you see that's just a losing battle? Okay, I may be preaching to the choir. Simony, Sam, Michelle, you guys probably, we've all basically said, let me see, Sam says it was what she expected. She used it to move her brand, right? Okay, and I know I got to go in a little bit. Y'all, this is, okay, so here's what I'm suggesting. Let's take more of the positive approach, right? Okay, we already agreed that pretty much criticizing other artists is just never a great move. It's never a great move. However, I love what you just said, Sam. She used it to move her brand. So what about these anthems, these cultural zeitgeist moment? How can we use that to move our brands? How can we use that, like Michelle said, to really honor God at the same time be a part of the conversation? Well, I mean, in private conversations, I could see people saying, "Hey, Um, you know what? I would love to do something like Rihanna did. If I was on that level, um, what would my Super Bowl halftime look like? Not critiquing hers, but hey, you guys, I want y'all to design my special Super Bowl halftime. Y'all, when I do this, when I get up there, I want to be floating here and I want to have this. Can you imagine how many people would jump into that conversation? Now, again, I'm just like throwing stuff at you. I appreciate that, Simony. I'm glad. Look, I'm just saying, consider how you can use that same talk. And the Bible says, let no unwholesome word come out of your mouth, but only that which edifies the other believers. That's Ephesians, okay? Sam Warshaw is in the house. Sam is going to be on the podcast very soon, not along with his wife, Jade. Jade has already been on the podcast, but he's going to be on. Sam, great for joining us, man. I got all my friends that have been on the podcast. It's awesome. So we're talking about criticism and why we need to be careful about what we criticize. And now, Sam, I know you know this, being in performance, and now with your wife being in an incredible, huge stage. I'm sure you've seen the criticism and the Facebook trolls go off the chain. So we're talking about how we can turn that around into a positive. So if you are in this place where you're saying, okay, the conversation's going on, everybody's talking Rihanna this, Rihanna that, Chris Steelman this, Shirley Ralph, blah, blah. Why not turn the conversation into that which edifies other creatives? How can we use moments where people are all over the place to say, hey, let's channel this into a positive? That's literally what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to channel this conversation into a positive place. Okay. Yes, I know everybody's talking about Rihanna. Yes, I'm jumping on 2 days later because I'm very, very aware that this may get more shares once I put Rihanna's name in the hashtag. I'm very aware of that. However, what I'm also counting on is that when people watch this, they will get a new perspective and they will not think the same way that they thought when they first came looking for this Rihanna talk and think I was going to blast Rihanna for not dancing enough. This is me restructuring the conversation that the creatives and the musicians are having to say, hey, here's the way we really should be looking at this. Here's how I can advance my brand. My brand is not about blasting other musicians. My brand is not about talking about people. My brand is about helping musicians and creatives to succeed in their creative gift without sacrificing their faith. And that includes sacrificing your relationship capital by blasting other musicians and other artists whose concerts you didn't pay for. I'm okay. I'm getting a little riled up, and I gotta go in a second. I got a Valentine's Day dinner to play for, and I do not want to be late. I would be really bad to be late to a Valentine's Day dinner when people are getting ready to express their love, and the keyboard player comes in 2 minutes late. Tax Guru Sam says, "I learned so much from her. Do you want to have a moment to have what? Wait, let's see. Do you want to have a moment or have what she has to exceed the talk of the Super Bowl?" Yes, what she did absolutely exceed the talk of the Super Bowl. I haven't heard half the people talk about the game. Do you want your light to shine huge or low? Yeah, yeah, that's a key. Hey, Tobias, good to see you, man, over here. Thank you for tagging people. I hope I can hang on another maybe 10 minutes, and then I'm going to have to head out of here. I want to jump on as soon as I could, and I might keep this going. I might come back after my gig. I have a Valentine's Day gig, playing just a little romantic keyboard for a dinner party, and then I'll be headed right back. And maybe I'll jump back on because I don't feel like we're finished with this conversation. But yeah, real quick, Tobias, if you want to jump in, talking about people criticizing the Super Bowl. By the way, let's just give it up to the band. I don't care what y'all thought about the performance, but Adam Blackstone, man, every time he does, like he cannot miss when it comes to performances, man. I will give my props to Adam Blackstone every day. I don't care what he plays on. A godly man who is at the top of his game. And hopefully I'll get a chance to see him when he comes out here to Miami to Jazz in the Gardens. So let me kind of summarize since I got to run a little bit. And again, if you want me to continue this conversation, we can jump back into it. This has been a creative checkup, which is, again, my name is Alan C. Paul, and I'm every once in a while. I've not done this in a while, but probably should do them more often. I used to do them every Friday, every Monday. We have a membership community, which is Guiding Gigs 360. Sam here is a member of that. Simony is a member of that, which is for highly motivated creatives who want to accelerate their progress and become completely confident in their marketing and their mission and in everything they do. And yeah, that's what we do here. That's why I'm jumping on with my community, because I want to make sure that they don't get caught in this cloud of criticism over halftime shows and anthems and who should have sang and why they didn't sing this. And it's just so easy for us to get caught up in that. But creatives, yes, Sam, creatives need grace. So I appreciate y'all coming in, even on a little 30-minute call. Thank you so much, Simony, for that. Yeah, I should probably run, guys. Let me know if you would like me to continue this conversation. It may become a podcast. I would prefer to talk to y'all about it because I just feel like it's more comfortable. Some things are not, I don't like it as a one time or one way conversation. It's what we do in God Gets 360. Honestly, we do like a lot more conversations like this, and we do this for like an hour. And it's basically group coaching and group consideration and group growth as creatives and Christian creatives and faith focused creatives. So I appreciate you guys, but hopefully we got something out of this. I hope you got something out of this. I hope that you understand that, again, the thing I hit on, and I'm probably going to like nail this and recycle this a lot more, is that your relationship capital should be spent on things that matter. And relationship capital includes social media. And anytime you start burning bridges and talking about how mad you are and how people feel about their music, how you feel about the way they played, how they should have performed better. And again, it doesn't mean you can't have opinions. It just means it's social capital. Your opinions are social capital. And you just have to be very aware how you spend them. It's like, do you buy the triple cheeseburger for $12? Yeah, you could, but like, don't be mad when you don't have money for like the salad and then you feel a little bit overweight and you feel bloated because you used your capital on something that wasn't that healthy and it didn't give you a lot of benefit. And criticizing and jumping on bandwagons in the public space as an artist just doesn't get you a lot in return and could possibly lose you a lot. Again, if that artist has friends in the business. If that artist knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, but then they scroll your Facebook and then they see that you downed the guy that knows a guy that knows a guy. Like, it just doesn't, it's no winning situation there. I saw someone just join, man. Thank you for joining. I wish I could say, yeah, I see, hey, my brother, I'm not sure who you are. If you can give me your name real quick, we're closing out, but I wanted to go ahead and, give you guys at least, again, a couple of other quick church announcements. Podcasts. I just mentioned Sam on the podcast. Two Sams. We got Sam Warshaw and then Sam Mabry. Also been on a podcast. Thank you for joining me, Michelle. We got a new podcast out. Oh, please go. Wait, I gotta type this in. Yo, Wilfredo El Jefe. What's up, bro? All right, I gotta run. I'm gonna be so mad. I'm gonna have to come back. Will y'all be back here if I come back at like late? Well, y'all gonna be out hanging out with your friends. Shoot, I just realized we don't have the website for the latest podcast. Y'all gonna get this straight from me. It's not up on the website yet, but if you go to Apple or Spotify and you follow the podcast, our newest episode with Dantaniel, also known as Jamel Kimbrough. Jamel Kimbrough is how you mostly would have heard of him, but you barely heard of him because he's not like that. He don't like sharing a lot of stuff. But he's the one who's the producer behind Todd Dulaney's song, Your Great Name. We love to call. I'm not going to sing, but his podcast, y'all, this interview with Dantaniel J. Kimbrough, just subscribe to the God and Gig Show. Just subscribe to the God and Gig Show. I'm telling you, it's already there. It's not on I did not put it on the site yet. We're still fighting on some stuff on the website. But it is on Apple and Spotify, and it will be up on YouTube pretty soon. So I'm giving you like a heads up that even though I haven't posted about it, it's already available. If you listen to this, you will be absolutely blown away, inspired, and I guarantee you're going to look at your creative life a little different after that. So yeah, go check out that podcast. And oh yeah, by the way, if you guys like the shirt I'm wearing, ta-da, there's also a merch store out. So if you guys want to check out the merch, I'm thinking about switching something up, but right now it's just here at godandgigs.com/merch. And I've got some hoodies there, things like that. You might want to check that out. You can support us by getting yourself some gear. Check that out at godandgigs.com/merch. I would really, really love that. And if you check out the podcast as well, you'll see there's some new ways to support us as well. You can also buy a subscription to the podcast. You can actually support us with $3 or $4 a month. It's really, really cool. Kind of like Patreon, but separate than Patreon. So I would love it if you guys would support us so we can help more creatives to become better creators from the inside out. All right, you guys, I literally have to get ready for a gig. I cannot hang out any longer. If you would like me to hang out with you more, put it in the chat, share this video, share this talk, tell your fellow creators to be careful about the criticism, to share more edifying things on social media, turn the conversation around to not just what you would love, but what you would like them to know about you, and just kind of like change the conversation, you guys. Let's make our world, our creative world, a better world. All right. Love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this little 30, 45-minute creative checkup. It's been really, 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 really fun. Really, honestly, like I said, when I do this, I feel like I should do this all the time. But check me out at godandgigs/gold if you want to get in 360, because 360 is where we do this a lot more. Okay. We do our coaching there. Matter of fact, I'll put it in here just in case you want to check that out. Simony and Sam would tell you how amazing that is. That's just for the membership if you're interested. Okay. All right, you guys. God bless. Instagram. Thanks for joining me. See you guys next time. Share this video, by the way. If you watched all the way through, share this video with somebody else. Let them know that this is good content for them. All right. God bless you guys over here. And God bless you guys over